Okay.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name's Carl. I am the marketing PR manager of the Overseas Teacher. And today we're going to be doing our episode one of the Overseas Teacher podcasts. This is a little new thing that I'm going to try out. We're going to talk about everything from teaching abroad, teaching online, the company, us as individuals. There is no filter. We're going to be talking about anything whatsoever. And today, the first guest I have is the one and only James Kitch. James Kitch is another of the managers. He's a big boss. He is the guy that trained me. He headhunted me and taught me everything I know. So I guess you could call him Anakin, and I'm. Oh no, that's the wrong way. You could call him Obi-Wan and I'm Anakin.
I'd rather be Darth Vader, to be honest with you, but that's just my own personal taste.
He never gets an apprentice though, does he, Darth Vader?
No, he doesn't. Not really, I suppose. But he's just the coolest character, you know. And I think in COVID times, you know, Darth Vader helmet, it just works, mate.
That's a good place to start actually. Let's talk Star Wars because you're a big fan of Star Wars, right? I remember the first week or two that I was working with you. I'll never forget. You came in with this T-shirt, this Star Wars T-shirt. I can't remember what it said. Something about Yoda or something like that. What was it?
I think it might have been the Waikiki Wookie.
Oh yeah,
Chewbacca holding a surfboard on the beach with a pair of sunglasses. Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, I'm currently watching the films at the moment. I'm on episode three. Just finished watching Revenge of the Sith, arguably the best one. I think it's class. The ending's just insane, isn't it?
Have you never
When
seen them before?
of course I've seen them before, but years ago, and I've never watched them all consecutively. So the new ones, the old ones, and I'm going to watch them all in order because I got Disney Plus. So yeah,
Something to do as
and I'm
well.
well, and the missus has never seen it either, so she's giving it a go too.
Good. Well, I first went to see Star Wars. This is showing my age now. I went to see it in 1977 when it came out. So
Wow.
I was only six, but yeah, fantastic film. And yeah, it just blew me away. I mean, it was just the most amazing thing, you know. Space cowboy picks up a sword that lights up and runs around the galaxy in a spaceship. Yeah, I mean, it was just the best. You know, I had all
So
the toys, I had the duvet, I had the
yeah,
wallpaper.
do you think back then they were planning on doing it backwards the way they have?
Yeah, apparently they got Yoda to decide the order. So backwards it is. That's Star Wars joke. Yeah, well, they did. Apparently, George Lucas, yeah, he wrote the first one, which was episode four, and the idea was to do nine. So yeah, it was actually planned in a galaxy far, far away, a
Yeah.
long time ago. It was all planned. Yeah. Although I do think that unfortunately that the prequels, you know, the Phantom Menace and the rest of those, pretty shit. To be honest with you. Yeah.
Really?
Jar Binks and all that stuff. I was just like, it's a bit too Disneyfied for me. I think the Mandalorian. That's another story. That's completely different. That's very much
Oh,
the old.
Mandalorian's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Did
and
you
the
watch
ending.
the Did you watch the last bit of the ending though? But I told you to watch to the end
I did.
of the
No
what's it called?
spoilers. No spoilers, Carl, because obviously it's quite a manic ending. But yeah, I actually remember messaging you that night, going, "Oh, I've just watched the last one." Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really
quality,
good. I saw the
quality.
last bit at the end of the credits as well in Jabba's palace.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that they're. Oh, of course, yeah. I've got a feeling that they're gonna do a lot of seasons on this, similar to Game of Thrones. I just hope they don't
Yeah,
kill it like they killed Game of Thrones.
well, Obi-Wan's the next one, isn't it? They're doing a series of Obi-Wan Kenobi with Ewan McGregor.
Oh yeah, I've heard that as well. That's gonna be awesome.
And
And
then there's going to be Boba Fett's, the
Boba
book of
Fett's
Boba
one,
Fett.
yeah, that's coming towards the end of the year. I'm not sure. Are you a fan of Lord of the Rings as well?
I read all the books actually when I was a kid. The films, yeah, they're all right. They're not too bad. Um, you get a bit sick of it after a while.
Well, they're doing a Amazon are doing a series, aren't they, on Amazon, which is a Lord of the Rings series. Apparently, it's meant to be the highest budget series of all time. So that's going to be pretty badass.
I'll be up for that. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, but
James,
no, Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars definitely is part and parcel of my my childhood. So even now, you know, I can't pick up a drill without pretending that I'm Han Solo, just for a couple of seconds.
Do you think that so James, let's go back a little bit because sometimes I think it's quite interesting to go back. You talked about when it was 1977 and you went to go and see Star Wars for the first time. So what went from 1977 to the point where you decided that you were going to have a career in teaching, in specific teaching abroad?
Well, I don't know, because in actual reality, I spent more time outside the head teacher's office than I did in a classroom. I was a pain in the neck for the purposes of the podcast. And what happened was when I left, I actually decided to go travelling, so I didn't go straight to university. I actually literally put a backpack on and hitched my way across Europe, all the way as far as sort of Turkey, and then I went to Israel and Egypt and Jordan, and yeah, I just decided I didn't want to go to university straight away. I wanted to see the world, so I had one or two adventures, to say the least. And we'll save those for another podcast. And then when I came back, I went to university, and then when I left university, again, didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I ended up teaching English in Cairo for 6 months. And I just fell into it. I went back to Egypt. And then, bit by bit, decided, right, I'm going to go into teaching. So I did. Eventually ended up going to, well, you name it. I mean, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, China, Thailand. I've taught in pretty much every country in Europe as well. Even Liechtenstein.
Wow.
Yeah, I just did it, and 23 years later, I came back and ended up working still in education for all sorts of different areas, and I ended up working with Tot, and this is my last stop. This is the career. So yeah.
So James, would you say that you're in a position whereby you could pretty much fly to a huge range of countries, and there'd at least be somebody there that you know, somebody there you could go for a beer with,
Probably.
somebody whose couch you could surf on?
I don't know about that, but I mean, there's quite a few places I could go where there's a few people. I mean, obviously they might call the police, but once I get through get through that stage, definitely, I'm sure there would be. Yeah, but you got to remember, Carl, I'm quite old now, so. A lot of the people I used to work with now are either dead or probably not teaching or doing something.
Oh, you're not that old. Come on, Jay. I can imagine that you do meet a lot of people on doing things like teaching abroad and going to such a big, wide range of countries.
Yeah, I made to be fair, actually, I made some of the best friends I've got through teaching. Obviously, with the advent of Facebook, everything changed because now you can be friends with people and stay in contact. And I've got loads of people that I used to work with. I'm still friends with. Even last night, I was having a rant about some political issues, which is one of my things I love to do on Facebook. And quite a few people that liked or commented on it were people I used to work with in Japan. Somebody I used to work with I worked for a few years with a company, again in Canterbury, Stafford House, which is quite a well-known school of English. So still in contact with quite a few of them. Yeah, but amazing experiences, lots of adventures, some not suitable for podcasts, some definitely suitable for podcasts. Yeah.
Where was your best stop?
Best stop. That's a good question, Carl. Japan was pretty cool, actually. I learned a lot of stuff in Japan. China as well, cross between Blade Runner and Disneyland, crazy place. I think actually probably Turkey, Egypt. I think Turkey and Egypt actually, were
really
my two favourite to actually teach. Yeah.
Whereabouts in Turkey were you? Istanbul?
I was in Istanbul and I went down to Antalya, and then I ended up going down to a place called Olympus, which is like a little, it's not like that now. It's a big sort of massive developed place where you can go and have holidays and stuff. But it used to be very sort of hippie. I used to live in a treehouse on a beach.
Oh, wow.
It's near Fethiye. Equally, actually, there was a place in Egypt where I lived for a while. Um, and there's a place called Dahab. You might have heard of it. And when I went there, it literally was just a beach with huts. You literally lived in a hut on the beach. And it was kind of like a 24/7, 12 months of the year Glastonbury, where we smoked jazz woodbines on the beach and had a really good time, you know. And now it's nothing like that at all. It's literally like Dubai. I've seen pictures of it now, and it's just nothing like it was. But yeah, that's sort of near Hurghada on the west coast of the Red Sea. So yeah, we used to go a lot of snorkeling and scuba diving and free diving and other diving, all sorts of diving. Great.
Yeah, I remember I went to Istanbul. I've been to Istanbul a couple of times, and I think one of the best parts about Istanbul is the food. It's just amazing, non-stop. The lamb koftas, and they have yogurt with everything as well. I don't understand why they just dip anything in
Yeah.
yogurt.
Well,
Call
they
them
say it's
clubs,
yogurt.
dip it in yogurt.
Yeah, they say it's yogurt. I don't know what it is, but I would say actually no. The best food is definitely China and Japan. Actually, of all the countries I've been to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I lived on sushi and sake when I was in Japan. But China, Haidi Lao. You ever heard of Haidi Lao?
I've never heard of that. No, I've never heard of
Yeah, it's
Heidi
famous.
Dao.
Haidi Lao.
Oh, Heidi
It's
Lao.
yeah. So you get a hot pot and you get loads and loads of food, and you literally cook it in a hot pot, which is in the middle of the table. Yes, it's Nate, one of our colleagues. It's his favourite place to go. So yeah, the
Mm.
food is incredible, fantastic.
What about Korean barbecue? You a fan of Korean barbecue?
Yeah, love a bit of Korean barbecue. Yeah, I was in South Korea. Actually, most of the time I was in South Korea, I was doing marketing trips. So I was there for sort of like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And yeah, obviously going out with the agents, and it was nice because they just take you out and treat you and say, right, you know, we're going to do business with you, so we're going to take you to this restaurant. And yeah, I was wined and dined. It was great. It was fantastic.
And they know how to drink out there as well, right?
Well, funnily enough, I don't know if this is true. I read somewhere that Asian people are missing an enzyme, so they go puce red when they get drunk, and they can't handle alcohol quite the same as we can. Um, but yeah, there's yeah. Actually, in Taiwan, they're obsessed with Johnny Walker whiskey. So yeah,
Oh,
wherever you
really?
go, yeah, you can't go anywhere without somebody going whiskey. So yeah, not before class. Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
cheap as well. You can get drunk for a couple of quid.
Yeah, well, obviously, when I went there, it was very, very cheap. Yeah, really, really good. Although, actually, no, Japan is very expensive. Even when I was there, I'd say Japan is about the same as living in London. Yeah,
Oh, I've
it's
heard
not
Japan's expensive. Yeah.
cheap at all. Yeah, but
What's the what's the longest period of time you've ever spent in one particular country?
ooh, I spent about a year in Israel, just over a year in Israel, actually. Um, but I wasn't just teaching; I was on a kibbutz, and I went and worked in a moshav. And I went and crewed on the boats in a nut. So it's literally like 100-foot clipper, you know, with sails. So I was a deckhand. I was pulling up the sails and
Wow,
driving the dinghy, and yeah, so taking people out of the Red Sea for trips and stuff. Yeah, pretty cool.
that does sound
And we
pretty
all
cool.
slept on the deck, no cabin, so we just slept on the deck at night with a little thin blanket, and yeah, it's pretty good.
So you've lived the real backpacker lifestyle then, to the extreme.
I've had a few backpacks. Yeah, definitely. I have still got the backpack I took when I was 17 before I went off to university to go on my travels. It's actually downstairs in a cupboard. I've still got it.
Oh wow, that's amazing. It brings
Yeah,
back some memes.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you're a travel man as well, Carl. Let's turn this interview round. You've been to Hong Kong. You've been all sorts of places. What are your considerations?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a few places myself. Similar to your situation, I flunked college big time, and decided to move to the city. So I moved to London. Was living, sharing a one bedroom, two matches on either side with one of my friends from Portsmouth, a chef called Matt. No money, spent all my money on going out on the weekends to, clubs and rave clubs, and then one day got scouted by a guy on the tube who asked me if I'd ever been, and I hate talking about it, but asked me if I'd ever
Come on.
considered modelling, and I thought he was just trying to hit on me at first, so I told him to do one. He was like, no, please, I insist, take my card. So I took his card. And at the time, I had a job. I was working doing door-to-door sales. So every day I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and I'd have to go to Canary Wharf. Then we had a small office there. I'd pick up the leaflets, pick up the iPads, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd go to a random place in London. And I remember one day taking a train up to a place in Crystal Palace, and it was raining, and every single person said basically do one, slamming doors in my face. And I came back home and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Well, I came back home. I came back to my room that was shared, and I was like, I can't do this anymore, Matt. And he was like, why don't you give that guy a call? And I was like, I don't know if it's for me. Thought about it, and I was like, nothing to lose. 18 years old, got no money, no education. So picked up the phone, gave him a call, did a couple of just random shoots around London streets with just basic photographers. Built up your portfolio. A couple of weeks later, I'm in Paris. A couple of weeks after that, I'm in Milan, Berlin, and then as time progressed, I started to lose. Well, I didn't get as much work in the European market because modelling sort of changed overnight. So all of a sudden, they wanted people who looked like David Bowie, two different coloured eyes and freckles and skater guys. And I wasn't really making much money. So my agent said to me, maybe you should have a quick spin off in Asia and see how you get on there. They like your look. So yeah, I went to Hong Kong, lived there was meant to only be there for 3 months, ended up staying for 6 months, came back home for a bit because I missed my family, and then went back on a plane, went back out there, was there for 9 months, had the best time of my life. And then after that, literally just jumping between cities around Asia. So South Korea, Thailand, China. Went to Guangzhou and made some amazing friends. Had some crazy stories, some that I can't share on the podcast, similar to yourself.
I'm
But
sure you have.
but yeah, I best experiences of my life. And then eventually I realised, I've got much more to offer. I don't think that I don't think I gave as much to the education world as I could. So I came back and I decided to start from fresh and get a university degree. And as it stands today, I'm in my last term of my third year at university, hoping to bag a degree and see where the overseas teacher takes me. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. So there you go.
There you go. Wow, fantastic. I feel like we bonded. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've now come to us, and it's interesting the different things that you've done. When you first started with me, we were doing just a few little things, and now pretty much running the company. I mean, it's you're a go-getter, aren't you? You've done all sorts of stuff now.
Well, I think one of the greatest things about working at the overseas teacher is we all have a sense of freedom and room to be creative. I think that we all work in a very innovative way. It's not your typical sort of lifestyle of working a 9 to 5. It's we've got space to think and look outside of the box. So I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have my breakfast, I'll do a couple hours work, I'll draw up some plans for social media, maybe some ideas for some events. Then I'll go for a run, maybe take the dogs out, grab a coffee, come back, crack on again. And then maybe I'll do a workout in the afternoon and then do a little bit more work in the evening. And I don't ever feel like, oh, I'm sick of this. I work it around my lifestyle. So it's a perfect job for anybody who wants to still be able to pursue something on the side or have some sort of lifestyle. I think that's one of the key things that attracts so many of our teachers is that they finish work by 12:30. So if they've got other side hustles or academic studies that they want to do,
Love it, love it.
we give them the space to be able to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. We don't clip people's wings. We help them. That's the
Yeah, I
idea,
agree.
anyway.
That's it.
Mm.
James, let me ask you, when was the first time you ever taught a class online?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, before you were born, probably. No, actually, that's a lie. We didn't even have the internet when I was started teaching. I would say probably around 2012, 2013, I think. Yeah.
Was it a
Well,
weird
whenever Skype,
experience?
I think teaching online is actually a lot harder than teaching a class.
Hmm.
Very different setup. So yeah, it was a bit unusual. I actually taught adults. I used to teach business English. So that's how I first started doing it. So it was more about, um, we'd actually do like role play. We'd get people to do presentations as if they were doing a sales pitch or an elevator pitch. We'd talk about stats and forecasts and the language of business. So there were lots of Austrians and Germans and Italians and Swiss. And um, I actually also started in 2008. I started my own little teaching company.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
which was called Exec Language. And that was when I timed it perfectly because I had everything. I had an agent in Switzerland, I had one in Austria, I had one in Italy. They all had business cards. I made a website. It was all fantastic. And I timed it perfectly with the global recession. So it literally went tits up basically as soon as I
Oh
started.
no. Did you say
Nobody
2008?
Nobody was spending money. Yeah, nobody was spending money on anything at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just had to go back to square one. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't be at top now if I was still doing that. I'd probably be on a yacht, not talking to you.
Well, I think
So
it's
I'm
you know
glad.
what?
I'm glad.
I think it's important you say that because I don't think a lot of people realise just how much money is in this industry. I mean, this industry is massive, multi billions of pounds.
Yep. Yeah. And the thing is, people keep having kids,
Yeah,
and
I
they
know
need to
you're
learn
right.
English.
That's it. Yeah.
We've got a conveyor belt of candidates to teach. I mean, obviously, eventually, at some point, we'll all have a chip in our heads if Elon Musk has his way, and we'll have instance we translate. But I can't see that happening just yet. So
Yeah.
we've
For the
probably got
time
quite
being, we still got a job.
yeah. Kids need to learn English, and now it's just to be really boring, but it is actually a prerequisite now to speak English in most countries. It used to be if you spoke English on your CV, people would go, "Oh wow, that's great." Now, if you don't speak English for more white collar jobs, you're at a disadvantage. So,
Yeah.
and mums and dads, and I think again it's kind of a political thing really, but the middle class have got much more money in their pockets
Mm.
than they have, and they take more interest now in their kids' education, and they actually do spend quite a lot of their money outside of normal schooling to help their kids be higher up than the other kids. So it's competitive, it's lucrative, and there's a never-ending supply of kids. So yeah, it's a good industry to be in, definitely.
And I think although I talked about how at the overseas teacher we give people the freedom to do whatever they want to do on the side of teaching, I think it's important to still let people know that even if you do fall in love with teaching online, there is a career out there for you in it. You can progress, and you can go anywhere in the world.
Well, I mean, a TEFL certificate is a passport to travel and teach. So just having a TEFL certificate in itself, if you decide in 5 years you want to bugger off to Peru and teach English, you can. It's not something that is, it's a door opener. But if you teach online and you enjoy it and you realise that it's something you've got a flair for, because you've got to be quite energetic, you've got to have a bit of chutzpah to do it. If you realise that teaching is the thing for you, then the next step obviously is to go and teach abroad. And yeah, I mean, the number of people that we send to China, for example, and the wages are just,
Mm,
they blow us. I mean, we've had people that have earned, we had one guy that worked at CERN, at the Large Hadron Collider. He was a Cambridge graduate physicist, very clever guy. 3,500, £4,000 a month, I think he was earning.
nice.
And we got him that job. And yeah, so obviously he was quite sort of high end, but still very, very high wages. especially in comparison to the cost of living. So yeah, I mean, it's a really good place to cut your teeth. Do a bit of online, get some experience, travel a bit, go and teach abroad. Even if you do it for a while on your CV, it looks great because you put yourself out of your comfort zone. You're not just going, looking around for jobs here. What is there? Yeah, the more you look into it, the more options there are.
Yeah, you're right. I think I think it's a brilliant opportunity for people, and I think the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is when they go to China, you can have minimal expenses. I mean, there's the royalties that you can get. Some people even give you free apartments, isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they generally subsidise your accommodation automatically. They get you an apartment and they pay a housing allowance, which is usually more than enough to pay for a flat. But yeah, we've got people that go over there that save £1,000 a month, and they're still going out. They're not just monks and nuns. They're having a fun experience.
Mm.
They're going doing stuff. But yeah, you can really you can come back with quite a lot of savings. But it's not for the faint-hearted. I mean, it's something you've got to really want to do. I think once you get over there, after about 2 weeks, I don't know about you with your feeling about the cultural shock, but after about 2 weeks, you kind of think, okay, I live and work in China. Right, okay, cool. Or wherever you are. But it does take a while for you to get your head around it. But once you're there, you just get used to another way of life. And
I
most people
think
don't come back after.
I think that's a good way to end this podcast. I'm going to ask you one last question, James. Can you tell me 3 tips to be a successful overseas teacher and 3 tips to be a successful online teacher?
Ooh, very good questions. Well, to be overseas, one is to have a very flexible frame of mind. Because not only is it going to be culturally different over there, but the way that, I mean, let's just say anywhere, not just China, but every single country has a different way of doing things, different management style, different teaching style. The kids are, all from different walks of life. So you've got to have a very flexible frame of mind. You've also got to have a can-do attitude. I think anyone that takes on a teacher, if you're going to go abroad, to just sit back and sort of say, well, I'm not really involved with all this. I'm just here to teach a bit of English. I'm not involved with the school or doing anything. It's a meritocracy. You get what you give. If you don't sit back and you get stuck in, you've got a can-do attitude. You can go all sorts of places with it. And thirdly, I think just sort of working on your own style, working on your own development, because that's really the trick. I mean, you never stop learning how to teach, but it's always up to you to decide whether you want to be an average teacher or somebody who really makes a difference. So you've got to have quite an altruistic sort of vocational frame of mind. For online, you've got to really be able to perform. You've got to be like a kids' TV presenter in many ways.
Yeah.
You've got to be. Don't be afraid of making a plum of yourself because that's what the kids like. You've got to be able to really keep that momentum going as well because it's quite tiring working online. It's not the same as teaching in a class. So you've got to have a lot of energy. You've got to have a lot of get up and go because obviously you're working from home and not everyone can do that effectively. So you've got to have quite a disciplined frame of mind as well. Having said that, of course, there's only a few hours in the day that they do it because of the time difference.
Yeah.
But still, it's something which you've really got to want to do it. You've got to be quite into it. And the third thing I'd say is you've actually you've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy working with kids.
Yeah, I agree.
If you find that you're doing it and you end up thinking, "Oh God, I can't wait till this finishes so I can do something else," you're not in the right job. So that would be my 10p's worth.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it takes a certain individual to teach online for sure, but those certain individuals that tick the boxes, they tend to smash it. You know what I mean?
We have got some absolute superstars in
I agree.
our group of teachers. Yeah, some are superstars in the making, work in progress. They've only just started. They're sort of like finding their feet. But some have been working with us for several months or years. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's a pleasure to watch. It really is. I've trained most of them, and now I feel that I could be trained by them. That's the sort of
Mm.
level. So, yeah, the master has returned, and now what is it? What was that Darth Vader bit with Obi-Wan Kenobi? You know what I mean? I'm thinking of a quote.
Oh, the end
Now
scene
I am the
Revenge of the
master.
Sith. and it's the classic.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
how
yeah.
it is.
Exactly, exactly.
Goosebump
I,
moment.
I, I have to say, and I know this is a little bit sad of me, but I would love to have a proper full Darth Vader suit. So I seriously would. I'd love to just walk around in it.
Who would that be
Um,
for? Your wife?
I'm not married. I don't think my
Almost.
partner. I don't think she'd. I think she'd just probably roll her eyes and go, "Oh God, what are you doing now?" But no, I mean, if I had it, I'd also want a fully functioning lightsaber. So probably gonna have to wait a while. Again, I'll have to give Elon Musk a call and see if we can get something sorted out.
Yeah. Let's see
Yeah,
if TOT can get those pennies in for you. I'm sure some of
yeah,
that would be cheap.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I think this has been great, and I've really enjoyed speaking to you, James. Thank you for everybody who decided to watch this whole thing. This
Is
is the
anyone
first time
still
we've
here?
done it. I hope there are people still here. Yeah, I mean, this is the first one we've done, and there's going to be many more. I'm going to go through the whole of the team at the Overseas Teacher. I'm going to speak to people from other platforms, from other similar businesses, and we're going to make this as big as possible. So this is a stamp in the TEFL world, and you and I started it. So thank you very much, James, and thanks
Well, I'm
everybody.
glad I've helped you pop your podcast cherry, sunshine.
Yeah, well, there you go. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Take care.
Yeah.